Welcome back to Seek and Speak with M.A.M.
I'm Mikey.
I'm Adriana.
And I'm Melanie.
The topic we chose was reaching out for help in general. I'm looking at it academically.
I'm looking at it mentally.
And I'm looking at it physically.
Now, the reason why we even chose this topic is because we've all had personal experiences with it. Like me, last year, I didn't seek out for help, and that costed me in the long run.
For me, there's been multiple times where I felt burnt out or overwhelmed, and it hasn't helped me in most cases. So, reaching out for help has been a big issue for me.
And for me, I relate to this because I play sports, and a lot of my siblings play sports, and I just see when you're injured, and if you don't reach out for help, then it always affects you in the long run.
The question we propose to you is,
Have you ever been in a situation where you felt stuck?
according to Stanford University, the reason why students don't seek help is because they think they might fear that the others will see them as weak and inferior beings to others.
Why do you think they feel so weak?
The reason is because of psychological behavior. Everyone they want to be independent and they'll try to be no matter what, even if it hurts them.
Now, moving along to mine, I used a couple of references such as Young Minds, a behavioral resource in Ackers, who also specializes in resource for behavior. They talk about a couple of examples of barriers, whether that be physical or just mental, just like stigma, lack of resources for outreach support, and just the overall fear of judgment. And I'll like to touch on the fear of judgment. I think that's a very common topic or issue that no, it doesn't like particularly just relate to mental health. I think it's also seen in yours academically. Like you're scared that the teacher um, might think that you're inferior or like don't really can't really comprehend what's going on in the class. And I think there's a lot of physical aspects, but I'll let Melanie get to that.
Moving along to the physical aspect of reaching out for help, from the National Library of Medicine, one of their key points was like for the reason why athletes are not reaching out for help when they're injured is they're not wanting to lose playing time, and they're not really thinking about like the injury and thinking that it's serious enough to actually like require medical attention. They think it's just like a little slap on the neck instead of an actual like big injury that can tear them down in the long run. And they also just don't want to let their team down. Also, going along with what they were saying, it also like they don't want to be viewed as weak.
Mm-hmm. Now, we did go around the classroom and we did ask you guys, just a few of you, some questions. For me, I asked, what makes it hard for teens to ask for help with mental health, and what could make it easier? I gave them the option to choose whether they wanted to answer that second one. But a lot of the responses I got were they're going to be judged, they're going to be seen as extra or doing too much, or there's just too much stigma around mental health, and we live in a culture where you're not supposed to share your feelings with other, like that's something that should be kept private, that no one really needs to know or become aware of. And one that really stuck out to me is because some student said that mental health is taken as a joke, and I agree with that because although we are changing as a society, changing our viewpoints and perspective, I think mental health isn't taken as seriously, especially when it comes to our true feelings.
And the same thing as Adriana, I also went around asking you guys some questions, like mainly how you guys are doing in your classes and have you sought out to see help. And from what I got, mostly everyone says they're doing fine. However, very little people are seeking out help, which is gonna affect them in the long run, like it did for me.
Mm.
I did not go around the class asking people, but I interviewed my brother who tore his ACL 3 times. He's recovering from his third surgery he got last week. And basically, I just asked him like why it's important that he reached out for help. And he said that at the beginning he was thinking that he wasn't going to reach out for help, and he was scared. He loved playing sports. And the team that he was on, the coach is very demanding about like the starting position. My brother really had to fight for his starting position, and so losing that really scared him. So he didn't feel like he could ask for help because he didn't want his coach to be mad and he didn't want to let his team down. But he did reach out for help because of the pain that he was in, and it turned out to be a really bad injury, and he had to get surgery.
So I did mention that not reaching out for help affected me last year, and it did mainly in my dual enrollment math 126/127 class. I struggled that entire year, and the first semester I barely scraped out with a C, but I wasn't as fortunate next semester and ended up getting a D, which costed me the dual credit.
Mm. Has your perspective changed dramatically since then?
Yes.
For me, there's been like multiple occasions, but I feel, especially during work, I feel very stressed out at times and I feel very burnt out. And I don't seek out that help from my managers or fellow coworkers, which just leaves me in a very stressful mood where no one really wants to be around Adriana when she's stressed out at work in the kitchen. So, yeah.
I grew up playing sports since I was like 5 or 6. And I grew up mainly playing volleyball, and I had many injuries, and it was hard for me to reach out because I didn't want everyone to feel like I was weak. But and one time I did not reach out, and I was in a lot of pain. I hurt my shoulder, and the position that I play causes me to use my shoulders a lot. And I didn't reach out, and I had to sit a few games because the injury was worse than I thought it was. So that just like made me really think more about the consequences and benefits of reaching out.
To add on, according to the Bangladesh Journal of Medicine, 17% always felt that teachers are neither approachable or friendly to seek help. In addition, 25% sometimes felt that they don't approach the teachers because they give importance only to their best students. In other words, skill issue.
Yeah, a couple of the students I actually interviewed sort of touched on the topic of academics and not reaching out. And they were also saying how there could just be a little bit better communication depending on the teacher. And again, depending on the teacher, um, that will show how scared the students might be to ask a question. Now, for more statistical research that I found, I used it from the website Science Direct, and they reported a survey on kids or teenagers, sorry, from high schools in New York, and they just talked about where they sought out their help. And a lot of them said the internet. And about a quarter of them said that they felt dissatisfied or didn't feel like it helped just looking on the internet for help, especially with their mental problems. And then in another research that they also did in Nassau, which is also New York, they said that 18% of the participants had used the internet in like the previous year to seek help when they felt upset, sad, stressed, confused, or even angry. And again, a lot of them were left disappointed or still at that same crossroad of not knowing what to do.
All right, so the point we're trying to say is that while reaching out for help seems scary, it's actually not. It can prevent things from having bad grades, bad mindsets, and bad injuries.
And just remember that reaching out for help is not weakness, it is strong. You're looking out for you and your future, and it actually shows a lot of strength within you and your personality.
Wow, I never thought
of
about it like that.
Always remember if
Your
Feeling
stuck,
remember
that
asking
for
help
is
a
sign
of
courage.
and
bravery.
Thank you for seeking and speaking with M.A.M.
have a great day. And remember, being a titan is being on top of the mountain.
In a world where like our feelings are very like, did you just play?
Yeah.
Back with Seek and Speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, welcome back. Okay.
Mom.
Moving along to the physical aspect.
No. You ready? Count down again.
1, 2, 3. The question we propose is:
Have you ever felt